When Kobe Bryant died, a piece of me died.
Well, it all starts with my parents. You guys see all the highlights. What is it about me that you guys don't know? As I sit up here and I watch all the other recipients stand up here and they give their history. And
At 62, the tragedy of Michael Jordan is far deeper and more heartbreaking than anyone on the outside could ever imagine. We all see the legend, the billionaire icon with 6 rings and a legacy bigger than the game itself. But behind that global empire is a man who has endured pain most of us couldn't survive. His journey is bigger than trophies, and it only reveals that even the greatest among us can be broken in places the world will never see. In this video, we'll find out. So, stay with me, because what comes next will shock you. The wounds that shaped a legend. Long before Michael Jordan became linked in everyone's mind with basketball greatness, the journey began with deep rejection that quietly shaped everything that eventually followed. And when people look back at those early years, it becomes clear how disappointment and pressure formed the base on which greatness would later stand. As a young athlete in North Carolina, Michael Jordan reportedly carried the kind of expectations that many gifted young people feel from family, coaches, teachers, and even neighbors watching from a distance. And it was explained many times over the years that in households like his, talent can feel like a responsibility rather than a blessing. Parents often see ability as a rare chance to break free from financial struggle and to create something meaningful for everyone connected to them. And many families in similar situations today still give everything they have to help young athletes succeed. Could the weight of trying to change an entire family's destiny ever feel crushing, especially for someone so young? And as he grew older, the victories couldn't erase the pain and personal tragedy that had quietly shaped his life. At 62, the tragedy of Michael Jordan is more than heartbreaking. It's a story of ambition, loss, and the human cost of greatness. Michael Jordan often felt the heavy weight of life, especially with the idea of trying to break cycles of financial struggle and debt that so many families experience and pass along unintentionally from one generation to another. The relationship with his father, James, became a central part of this journey. Some athletes grow up fighting for a father's approval or trying to prove something in anger. But in Jordan's case, the presence of James Jordan provided support at crucial moments during both success and painful failure, a bond that would eventually make the tragedy that later hit the family feel even heavier. Those early years led to the moment many basketball fans know but rarely understand deeply, the moment when young Jordan, only 15 years old in 1978, hoped to secure a spot on the varsity basketball team at Emsley A. Laney High School. At that time, the height was only around 5 feet 10 inches, the athletic ability was raw and undeveloped, and the ability to dunk did not yet exist. Around 50 students reportedly tried out for just 15 varsity spots, and the pressure inside that gym must have felt enormous, especially for a teenager who dreamed of something bigger. How crushing can it feel to give everything in tryouts only to discover that the effort was not enough? After the final evaluations, Jordan reportedly watched for the handwritten varsity roster posted inside the locker room, hoping for affirmation, hoping to see the name written among the chosen few, and when the name did not appear there, the shock settled in slowly. Instead, the placement was listed on junior varsity. Adding to the emotional sting, Jordan's friend Leroy Smith, who stood significantly taller at 6 feet 7 inches, earned a spot on varsity, largely because the team desperately needed height. Jordan revealed years later that embarrassment washed over him when the disappointment set in, and he explained that he kept staring at the varsity list, checking again and again, thinking maybe if he looked long enough, the outcome would somehow change. Could anything feel more painful in that moment than believing a dream had slipped away before it ever really began? When the truth finally settled in, Jordan returned home, locked himself in his room, and cried. Although people later exaggerated the story by saying Jordan was cut entirely, the truth reflected something more subtle but emotionally deeper. The head coach, Clifton "Pop" Herring, believed that Jordan would gain more playing time on junior varsity and learn faster there than he would sitting on the varsity bench. The coach had several reasons, including a roster stacked with seniors and the need for height that Jordan lacked. And in hindsight, this strategic move shaped one of the greatest athletic mindsets the world would ever see. However, rejection still hit like a punch to the chest, and that moment reportedly ignited a burning sense of urgency inside Jordan that never left. During interviews throughout his career, he spoke about closing his eyes during workouts whenever exhaustion tried to slow him down, remembering the missing name on the list, and using that memory to keep pushing harder. Could a single emotional wound fuel years of relentless work? According to witnesses from that period, the transformation was remarkable. Jordan dominated junior varsity, scoring more than 40 points in some games, filling the gym with spectators who came to watch the underclassmen who suddenly became the most exciting player on the court. Early mornings became routine, and he often arrived at the school gym before dawn, practicing until exhaustion, only leaving when school staff locked doors at night. Then came the growth spurt in the summer following the junior varsity season, gaining 4 inches in height and developing coordination and discipline that stunned coaches when he returned for his junior year. The varsity position finally became his, and he quickly became the standout player, averaging more than 20 points per game. By senior year, the results spoke loudly. The record reached 19 wins and only 4 losses. Performances included triple-double averages, and selection as a McDonald's All-American placed his name among the most promising high school athletes in the country. Years later, Jordan reflected on what that painful setback meant, explaining that without Pop Herring's decision and without the heartbreak that came from not seeing the name on the wall, the fire that shaped the discipline might never have truly ignited. Could the greatest gift sometimes hide inside the most painful moment? The varsity rejection, rather than stopping the dream, became the foundation on which greatness was built, proving that sometimes disappointment is the very spark destiny needs. What looked like the end became the first step in a journey that would reshape history itself, reminding us that adversity can be the exact turning point where greatness truly begins to rise. It was in the silence after that rejection that a fire started burning, pushing him harder, faster, and further than anyone expected. But as that rise accelerated, something else began forming quietly in the shadows. Keep watching till the end to find out. The rise to glory and its hidden costs. The University of North Carolina reportedly became the first stage where Michael Jordan's extraordinary talent started attracting serious attention, a place where everything slowly began to align for a young athlete who had no idea how much weight the world would eventually place on a single name. During freshman year, Jordan delivered a moment that stunned audiences everywhere, hitting the game-winning jumper in the 1982 NCAA championship game against Georgetown and instantly becoming a legendary figure within college basketball. Many observers later recalled how this moment seemed to foreshadow a future built on thriving under pressure, responding to chaos, and constantly rising whenever expectations grew heavy. Over 3 seasons in the UNC program, the Tar Heels achieved an astonishing 88 wins and only 13 losses, while Jordan averaged 17.7 points per game. Coaches and teammates described Jordan as a relentless competitor who demanded excellence from every corner of the court, sometimes raising questions about how such intensity could come from someone still so young. Could greatness sometimes begin quietly, only to erupt in front of an entire nation at exactly the right moment? Jordan's college journey demonstrated exactly that possibility, growing from a freshman scoring 13.5 points per game to the unanimous recipient of the John R. Wooden Award and the Naismith College Player of the Year title by junior year. When NBA teams evaluated prospects in 1984, experts wondered whether Jordan could survive the physical reality of professional basketball. Selected third overall behind Hakeem Olajuwon and Sam Bowie, Jordan responded immediately by transforming expectations and shocking critics. During a remarkable rookie year with the Chicago Bulls, Jordan averaged 28.2 points per game, earned a spot in the All-Star game, and received Rookie of the Year honors. Crowds filled arenas simply to watch movements across the court, describing Chicago Bulls basketball as unpredictable, exciting, and thrilling in a way that had never existed before. A sports writer once joked that the Bulls had previously attracted as much interest as mud wrestling and tractor pulling, making it even more astonishing how quickly Jordan elevated the entire franchise. Over time, Jordan accumulated a list of achievements that seemed almost unreal. Reporters often struggled to summarize the honors without sounding exaggerated, because the numbers spoke louder than words. 6 NBA Finals MVP awards, 10 NBA scoring titles, 5 regular season MVP awards, 9 first-team all-defense selections. Could anyone imagine carrying that amount of expectation year after year without collapsing under the weight? Success came with a massive cost on physical and emotional well-being. During late 1980s playoff battles against the Detroit Pistons, the opposing team implemented a strategy remembered as the Jordan Rules, an approach that insisted on constant physical punishment whenever contact occurred. Every game became a test of survival, breaking bones, draining energy, and challenging endurance. 3 consecutive seasons ended in heartbreak, as the Pistons eliminated Chicago each time. Many wondered how long any player could endure such punishment, especially when exhaustion combined with disappointment. Eventually, Jordan led the Bulls to victory over Detroit and lifted the first championship trophy, followed by 2 more championships in the years immediately after. However, constant pressure, intense competition, non-stop travel, overwhelming attention, and the demands of representing the United States in the 1992 Dream Team Olympic run created extreme exhaustion. In October 1993, Jordan announced retirement from basketball, explaining that constant expectations and overwhelming mental and physical fatigue had drained every last ounce of energy. Observers recalled Jordan describing a sense of emptiness, an overwhelming exhaustion, and a desire for silence that superstardom would never allow. Could a person achieve everything imaginable and still feel completely empty inside? With growing fame came increasing isolation. Interviews captured Jordan describing the emotional heaviness of being globally recognizable, even during attempts to perform simple daily tasks. Jordan reportedly lamented the loss of basic freedom, explaining how impossible it had become to grocery shop, pump gas, walk into a cinema, or enjoy a quiet dinner without cameras or strangers approaching. What happens when humanity becomes trapped behind fame? What happens when success creates a cage of constant attention? Jordan explained that even a single mistake became amplified beyond reason, creating pressure to remain perfect every waking moment. At only 27 years old, Jordan expressed how deeply unsettling this responsibility felt, explaining that the constant spotlight often created extreme loneliness. Fame, according to Jordan, seemed to remove ordinary experiences, personal privacy, quiet joy, and simple forms of companionship. Observers and reporters have often reflected on this hidden emotional cost, describing isolation as one of the most painful and unseen tragedies connected to legendary status. Jordan's journey demonstrated that greatness requires more than trophies and statistics. Greatness sometimes demands solitude, sacrifice, fatigue, loss, and painful responsibility. Some fans still wonder how many nights contained silence instead of celebration. Some observers ask whether the world ever truly understood how heavy that spotlight became. Even now, at age 62, Jordan reportedly continues to carry memories of endless pressure, relentless expectation, and the emotional distance that fame created. Could the highest level of success also carry the greatest level of loneliness? And could the cost of legendary greatness continue long after the applause fades into memory, leaving echoes that only the person at the top can hear? It's a haunting thought, especially when you realize that the brighter someone shines in public, the darker their silent battles can become behind the scenes. People often see the trophies, the fame, and the celebration, but rarely the emotional toll that comes afterward. As we look deeper into his life, we discover something heartbreaking, because these are the tragedies that truly broke the man. The tragedies that broke the man. Beyond the basketball court, Michael Jordan's life has reportedly been shaped by painful losses that challenged his strength far more than any opponent ever did. And many people close to him have said that championship pressure could not compare to the emotional weight he carried privately. During conversations over the years, friends explained that July 1993 became the moment everything changed. When news spread that James Jordan had been killed while resting inside a car in North Carolina, with the body discovered days later in a South Carolina swamp and identified through dental records. Many observers described how this unimaginable tragedy shattered Jordan's world during a period when everything seemed perfect on the surface. 2 months after the tragedy, the basketball community was stunned when Jordan announced retirement at the height of unparalleled dominance, and many reporters wondered what could possibly drive a man to walk away from the sport he loved. At that press conference, Jordan reflected that the death made him understand how short life can be and how quickly everything can disappear, and some wondered if success felt meaningless after such a loss. Although Jordan officially stated retirement was unrelated to the tragedy, explaining that nothing more was left to prove in basketball, many fans questioned whether grief silently shaped that moment in ways the public could not see. Throughout his life, James Jordan reportedly served as guidance, support, grounding, and motivation. With Jordan explaining in a 2022 ESPN interview that James never met his fiancée and never saw his children grow up, an absence that continued to hurt decades later. After that painful loss, an unexpected relationship reportedly transformed into something deeply meaningful when Jordan became close to his security guard, Gus Lett. During interviews, Jordan shared that Lett became like a father figure, staying beside him everywhere during some of the darkest periods, offering comfort not just through protection, but through understanding. According to accounts from Lett's wife, Jordan often called late at night, overwhelmed by sadness, and Lett went straight to him, showing up every time without hesitation, a gesture that built an unbreakable emotional bond between them. This relationship grew even deeper during the years after the tragedy, helping Jordan navigate grief that refused to soften quickly. When Lett faced cancer in 1998, Jordan stood beside him with loyalty and tenderness, checking in constantly, encouraging Lett through treatment, and maintaining contact despite physical decline. Lett shared during that period that constant conversations with Jordan gave hope, support, and strength. However, heartbreak struck yet again when Lett passed away in November 2000 after a long fight against illness, adding another heavy loss to Jordan's life and widening emotional wounds that never fully healed. Many people wondered how many times a single person can lose the figures that represent guidance, wisdom, and grounding. Then, In January 2020, another devastating tragedy sent shockwaves through Jordan's life when news broke of the helicopter crash that killed Kobe Bryant, his daughter Gianna, and 7 others. During the memorial, Jordan delivered an emotional tribute filled with tears, speaking for over 11 minutes as he confessed that a part of him died the day Bryant passed. Jordan described Bryant as a little brother, someone who called often for advice, guidance, and laughter, forming a connection built on admiration and mutual drive. Spectators watching the memorial noted how deeply moved Jordan was, struggling through words while honoring Bryant's legacy as an exceptional father, husband, and retired athlete who discovered new passions after leaving the game. For Jordan, who had already lost a father, then a father figure, seeing someone who followed his path in basketball disappear so suddenly only deepened the pain and reminded him again of life's fragility. Many wondered if these repeated losses helped shape the quiet, reflective side seen later in life, a side rarely shown during playing days. In the end, the victories, trophies, and records told only one part of the journey, while the painful losses revealed the human story behind the legend. A story filled with heartbreak that tested strength far beyond the hardwood, asking a question many never consider. How does someone so admired endure loss after loss and continue forward with dignity? The quiet years, searching for peace. In the aftermath of profound personal losses, Michael Jordan reportedly began walking a quieter path, one focused on rebuilding a private life away from the spotlight that had shaped every corner of his world for so long, a shift many people found both surprising and deeply human. According to close sources, the turning point came after his marriage to Juanita Vanoy came to an end in 2006, following 17 years together and 3 children. That separation reportedly followed an earlier split in 2002, along with a temporary reconciliation that gave both of them hope that the relationship could be repaired. People around Jordan often spoke about how painful and complicated that period had been, especially since the final agreement resulted in one of the most expensive divorce settlements in sports history, with Juanita receiving an estimated $168 million, gaining custody of their children and retaining their 25,000-square-foot Chicago mansion. Observers noted that the financial hit equaled more than 1/3 of Jordan's net worth at the time. Could anyone who lived under that level of public pressure manage to navigate heartbreak in peace? Friends explained that Jordan spent years quietly adjusting to a life that no longer revolved around constant competition and headlines, as he struggled to rediscover what adulthood and identity meant outside of basketball glory. His journey reportedly shifted again in 2008, when he met former model Yvette Prieto at a Miami nightclub. Those close to them said that their connection grew quickly and naturally, to the point that they moved in together the following year and became engaged in 2011. Their wedding on April 27, 2013, reportedly brought together 500 invited guests. But despite the guest list, friends said Jordan approached this new marriage far differently than the first. He reportedly spoke about lessons that accompanied experience, especially when it came to protecting emotional stability, family harmony, and financial responsibility. He arranged a prenuptial agreement that would grant Prieto $1 million for each year of marriage, increasing the total to $5 million annually after the 10th year. Was this a sign of caution or simply maturity? Observers commented that when the couple reached their 10th anniversary in 2023, Prieto officially qualified for the higher payment bracket, marking a milestone that symbolized endurance, mutual respect, and long-term commitment. Another major change in Jordan's personal life arrived in February 2014, when the couple welcomed their twin daughters, Victoria and Isabel. According to insiders, Jordan found raising young children later in life both grounding and transformative in a gentle way. Their household remained largely private, and low profile, appearing publicly only occasionally at basketball games, boxing events, and NASCAR races. People familiar with the family said they also shared sailing trips, a pastime that Prieto reportedly enjoys deeply, although Jordan himself humorously admitted to disliking the water. During this period, Jordan explained that time, not fame or achievement, became his most valuable asset. He reportedly expressed regret regarding the years when basketball schedules dominated everything, especially the family time and childhood moments that faded in the rear view. Could anyone remain unchanged after losing both a marriage and irreplaceable years of fatherhood to the demands of greatness? Jordan now defines fulfillment not through trophies or status, but through the precious hours he spends with people who truly know him. In quiet spaces where the noise of the world finally fades and honest conversations can breathe. He finds peace in moments that don't demand applause, simple dinners, gentle laughter, long evenings where no cameras intrude and no expectations linger. It's a life shaped more by memory than motion, more by presence than pressure. A life where every calm moment feels like an earned victory. And as he embraces these quieter chapters, a deeper story begins to unfold, one many never expected. Legacy at 62, more than a basketball icon. Michael Jordan's influence reportedly stretches far beyond a legendary basketball career and into a multi-billion-dollar empire that continues expanding decades after the final game ended. And many people close to Jordan have said that nobody, not even Jordan himself, imagined how large the legacy would eventually become. Observers often point out that at 62, Jordan has managed to turn athletic brilliance into a business structure that many have called unmatched in sports history, because it does not rely on seasonal success on a court, but on a global cultural identity that crosses generations. Some analysts have explained that the Jordan brand, the once tiny sneaker experiment that grew into a standalone division at Nike, now generates around $7 billion annually and continues to increase both in cultural importance and financial value each year. It is often asked how a 5-year, $2.5 million Nike deal signed in 1984 evolved into such a global powerhouse, and specialists often say that the answer lies in the partnership between competitive excellence, image control, and cultural storytelling. Forbes has estimated Jordan's net worth at approximately $3.5 billion, a figure that shocks many people who still remember the early days of the Air Jordan line and could not have imagined what was coming. Industry experts have also highlighted that Nike pays Jordan about $130 million every single year in royalties, which is nearly 4 times more than LeBron James, who holds the second-largest shoe deal in the world. People familiar with the arrangement described this royalty stream as a perfect example of long-term leverage, where the athlete continues earning far beyond active career years. The 2023 sale of his majority stake in the Charlotte Hornets reportedly netted Jordan close to $3 billion, a move that transformed a once controversial investment into one of the most profitable exits by any professional athlete in history. Many wondered why Jordan chose to sell the team, and analysts suggested that the time felt right for a new direction, while financial experts described the sale as confirmation of Jordan's business instincts. Interbrand ranked the Jordan brand with a value of $6.4 billion, and experts say that the number continues to rise because of its presence in both nostalgia culture and modern trend cycles. Observers often ask how many athletes can leave their game and still remain as relevant as the day they retired. And in Jordan's case, the answer seems tied to a sense of timelessness attached to his story. Yet beyond boardrooms and billion-dollar valuations, the philanthropic side of Jordan provides a quieter but equally powerful dimension. In 2023, Jordan reportedly donated $10 million to Make-A-Wish America, marking the largest individual donation in the organization's entire history. People who witnessed the announcement described it as deeply emotional because Jordan had granted wishes since the late 1980s and always felt connected to the mission. In 2020, Jordan and the Jordan brand pledged $100 million over 10 years to support organizations addressing systemic racism. And that commitment has been described as one of the most significant philanthropic promises ever made by a former athlete. Beyond that, Jordan invested $7 million to build 2 Novant Health Michael Jordan family clinics, designed to provide healthcare access to underserved communities. And reports have shown that the clinics have changed thousands of lives. Many observers ask how someone known as the fiercest competitor in sports somehow evolved into a leading philanthropist. And many say it comes from maturity, grief, and perspective. Similarly, the Charlotte Hornets Foundation donated over $3 million during Jordan's ownership period, supporting education programs, hunger relief programs, and military care. Yet underneath financial triumphs and charitable milestones, people close to Jordan insist the reality of his life at 62 contains heartbreaking depth that often goes unnoticed. Analysts and biographers have reflected on the painful contrast between Jordan's extraordinary public success and the private losses that shaped him. Those who understand his life story have said that Jordan still carries the pain of losing his father, James Jordan, whose death permanently changed the course of his life. Friends have pointed out that Jordan's father never met Jordan's current wife, never witnessed the growth of the younger children, and never had the chance to enjoy the quieter years alongside him. Some say the weight of that absence follows Jordan regardless of achievements. Jordan once said, reflecting on Kobe Bryant's tragic death, that when Kobe Bryant died, a piece of me died, a statement that resonated deeply around the world and reminded many that behind the empire exists a man who has lost many people he cherished. Some observers ask if wealth has the power to protect someone from the hardest parts of life. And Jordan's story often reminds people that the answer is no. People familiar with Jordan's personal reflections say the tragedy surrounding him at 62 comes from understanding that fame, fortune, and cultural immortality cannot replace human connection, time, or relationships lost along the way. Many observers have said that Jordan's journey reveals a universal truth. Success does not erase pain. Despite billions earned, iconic status, and decades of admiration, those close to him describe a life marked not only by triumph, but also by loss, grief, and the quiet realization that time moves forward, whether someone is ready or not. Some commentators have argued that Jordan's later years demonstrate that the greatest struggle is not maintaining a brand, but maintaining purpose after everything else fades. In essence, Jordan's legacy at 62 is not simply championships won or businesses built, but a deeper search for meaning in a life shaped by historic victories and devastating absences. Many ask whether the world sometimes forgets that legends are human too, and Jordan's story appears to underline that truth in profound ways. With this, we have come to the end of this video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do well to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. To enjoy more thrilling stories, click now on the following video that pops up on your screen.